Hello, welcome back to the class. How are you doing? Alright, in today's class, we're gonna learn about how to drive a DC motor. Well, the word DC itself means direct current. Anyway, it's basically say if you feed the current to the motor, it's gonna rotate, and if you change the pole, change the direction of your current, basically you're gonna turn it another way, right? Let's see how it works. Well, there are several kinds of DC motors, varying with the brush or the positions of the coin, of the inductive coin. Anyway, I will not get into the details of DC motor. Today we're gonna focus on how to control the direction and the speed of the motor using our Arduino program, our Arduino sketch. Alright, uh, well, we have two polar for the DC motor. So technically speaking, to drive the DC motor, the efficient way is to use a H-bridge circuit. Here from the pictures, you may see that it's kind of look like an H. That's why we call H-bridge. The general idea is that we use for transistor to drive the motor. This will help us to control both direction and protecting the controller board at the same time. Alright, but luckily you don't have to get into the details of the H-bridge as well. So just use it in our lab. Our board is already connected with the H-bridge for you. So you can just use the EN pin to control whether you want to load the motor or not, and use the IN1 and IN2 to control the direction. With that, you can now control the direction. How about the speed? To control the speed, we use a mechanism that we call pulse width modulation. Pulse width modulation, or PWM for short, is basically say the duty cycle of the high logics. If it is longer, like 100%, that means we continuously provide the high logics within a certain period. But if it is 50%, it's like we provide high logic for only half of the period. We can use PWM to control the speed of the DC motor. Guess what? Actually, we have already used the PWM before when you use the tone function. But today we're gonna use the analog out function, the analog write function, to generate the PWM for us. Alright, enough with the theory. Let's make it work. Alright, so this is the DC motor, the daughter board that I'm talking about. Well, the connection is quite tricky. You have to look at the pin. So what I will do, I will use the black wine and the red wine, red for VCC and black for ground. And I use 3 white wine for signal. Alright. Alright, first I connect the VCC, then I connect the ground. So just take a look at it. Be careful with that. Alright. And I have EN1, IN1, and IN2. Alright, this is how it looks like. Alright, now connect it to the input board. So I will use the digital pin 027 port here. Alright, red wine, black wine, and I will use pin number 5, 6, and 7. So you might want to be careful which one is 5, which one is 6, and which one is 7. Alright, just don't make a short circuit. So once finished, you will see something like this. All right. And if you cannot remember which pin is what, take a look at this one. Again, it's page number 114, this one. All right, now we already have the DC model connected. Let's create a sketch. The first exercise. For the first exercise, I already provide the necessary functions for you. You can just use it. In my case, I create a second tab for model and put everything related to model in the second tab so that my first tab are the setup function and the loop function gonna look pretty clean, nothing much. Right? So it just works. You can just use it. Just make sure that you do the right connection. I use pin number 5 for EN, number 6 for I1, and number 7 for IN2. Sorry. All right. Let's see the result. This is how it works. If you got it right, you're going to see the model turning. And then stop. And then turning again, but at faster speed. For exercise number 2, guess what? I leave it to you to finish exercise number 2. It's not that difficult. You already got the necessary routines that are already provided for you. Think about it. Read the code that I gave to you. You can make it. For exercise number 3, well, you basically have to modify the loop function a little bit. It's somewhat similar to the exercise number 1. But in this exercise, you have to connect the potentiometer to your board. So be careful with the polar, with the direction. You don't want to burn your potentiometers, right? But if you got it right, this is what happens. I make a few turn to the potentiometer. Here, gonna stop. And then when I make a turn to it, the other side, it's gonna turn into another direction like this. So basically, I use the potentiometer to control the speed of the DC motor by generate different pulses. Right? You might want to open the console to see the value reading from the potentiometer. Okay. All right. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy the lab. Until then, stay cool and see you next week. Goodbye.